Bo, Dan mentioned at his Monday press conference that you just need to get the ball out early on some of those deep throws. Just what have you been doing so far in practice this week?
Can you say that again?
Dan this week talked about how you just needed to get the ball out earlier on some of those deep throws from
Yeah.
Saturday. Just what have you been working on in this week of practice?
Yeah, I mean, we got quite a few shots. Obviously, every once in a while you kind of miss one, so regroup and go to the next one.
You were really able to get some plays with your legs last game. Arizona defensively, it seems like maybe they're a little susceptible there. Does that feel like something to focus on this week as well?
Yeah, every game we want to use kind of our resources, what we got. Every game I want to do a good job of running when it's there and doing my job, and at the same time when the shot's not there, using my legs. And so we're going to have the same type game plan, do everything we can, get the ball downfield, and then just kind of improvise.
You guys talked at all about Arizona's environment. I know Washington State was a tough one. I think Arizona's another one that provides some problems. Have you had the conversations?
Yeah, we've talked about it, and obviously it's been good that we played at Wazoo because it kind of got us started, and we've had some good away games so far this year, some loud ones, and so I think that's going to pay off for us.
You've played in tough road environments throughout your career, and there was places where things were attached, whether it was LSU or Georgia, or even Wazoo here. If you hadn't played there, people around here knew it. There are a lot of guys. The fan base has probably more of a feeling of dread about Arizona historically, but virtually no one here has actually played. Does it help in a situation like this where a lot of you guys really don't know what you don't know?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a good way to put it. I mean, at the end of the day, we just got to go in there and play hard and play physical and not kill ourselves. And these kind of away games are tough because it is a good opponent. It's going to be a good competition. It's going to be a good atmosphere. And so you got to go in there really sharp and not do anything that's going to hurt yourself.
How do you explain that you lead the country in passing yards in the red zone, and you're also like the third highest in rushing yards among quarterbacks? Like usually those two things don't usually necessarily go together. How have you been able to accomplish that?
Well, it's been straight scheme and coaches. They've put us in a great situation to do those things, and we've had a good plan once we've gotten to the red zone. And then at the end of the day, an 80-yard run just helps in a lot of those categories. I think it's kind of it kind of skews those a little bit, but obviously though we take what we get, and whenever those kind of plays are there to be made, it's important that we make them. And so, like I said, it just goes back to scheme in the red zone. And completing passes to where our guys can make plays.
On the penalties bit, when you talk about like the on-field cadence you're talking into the game, how do you go about addressing that this week? I don't think you get to everything and like tell the defense what you're doing, but I mean, like certain things by way of like, do you change the cadence that much more in practice?
Yeah, it's just all about concentration, and we know the cadence, and so that's not necessarily the issue. It's just concentrating, locking in, and making sure we're focusing on that, and not letting the outside noise affect us.
In a weird way, can being on the road louder make it easier to have those sort of, like, maybe you're using more hand gestures as opposed to verbal cadence?
It's tougher on the road for sure with cadence. You don't normally see as many penalties as we had at home on Saturday, so that's wouldn't necessarily make that, like, we're not going to do that a whole lot. And so hopefully going on the road, it'll just refocus us, put us back on the right things, get our ears listening to the right things, and then we'll be good to go.
The man downfield penalty, it's becoming more and more common with RPO stuff.
Yeah.
Is there anything you can do in those spots?
Yeah.
Do you feel like do you feel an onus, or is that just like?
There's a few things. It's like you said, with the way football's going, RPO game, that stuff happens in offenses. You just kind of got to embrace it and be okay with it. The things that you can do to limit it is just get the ball out early on time, and then try to not just get pull happy and just try to throw it all the time. Like, we do a good job of, if the run's there, we run the ball a lot, make people come down in the box and play us. But then at the same time, every once in a while you get a penalty like that, and it's just an old lineman being aggressive. Try to make some different calls to kind of tell the old lineman that it could be in between, so maybe don't just run downfield. But like I said, it just happens with our offense.
What were you thinking when you got that 80-yard run? I mean, when did you know that you were getting the score? And was it more like you were running for the end zone or just running for your life?
Well, I didn't know I was going to score until I crossed the goal line, just because you never know what's going to happen. You never know if there's a penalty or anything like that. But fortunately, I was able to get out in the open field, and there was a lot of grass to run. And then my receivers and tight ends did a good job of blocking down the field. And we talk about all the time effort without the ball and how do you play without it. and those guys showed it on video, and that's what kind of sprung the 80-yarder.
What have you seen from this Arizona defense so far?
They're extremely athletic. They do a lot of different things defensively, which can kind of be confusing for guys. But I feel confident with our O-line and the experience they have of just kind of settling in and making calls and going with it. And at the same time, we're going to have a good game plan. And so they're going to be a good team. They're going to present some challenges. We just got to do our best to kind of avoid the negatives, and I feel confident if we do that, we'll be able to move the ball.
They're saying that Turner, the safety who didn't play last week, they're hopeful that he'll be able to play this week because if he is able to go for them, he's one of their better players. But how important is if they do have?
Well, anytime you have a starter out, it's not good for your team. So, I mean, for them, I imagine they'd love to have him out on the field. And so at the end of the day, we're just going to continue to do the same thing. They're going to run the same defense with or without him. So it's just all about the awareness of if he's out there or not, and just the experience that he'll bring when he's on the field.
With the exception of Georgia and obviously Washington State, how important is it for you guys to get off to a fast start and get those points on the board early?
Yeah, it's extremely important. Whenever we've been able to get some first downs, whenever we haven't had a penalty on a drive, our touchdown rate's extremely high. And so we know that. We just got to go out there and execute.
The touchdown to Troy Franklin on Saturday night, seemingly was a broken play. You're able to find him, and he made a spectacular catch, of course, in the end zone. Can you maybe touch on the connection you've gained with Troy and some of the other receivers in the core like Chase or Chris?
Yeah, Troy's a baller. He really is one of those guys that he's a gamer, and when the lights turn on, he just shows up, and he's constant all the time. And he makes big, explosive plays, as we saw 2 weeks ago, and then obviously that really good catch he made at the goal line this week. You don't see that a whole lot. And to be honest, when I threw it, I was expecting either a throwaway or he'd have to make a crazy catch, and that's what he did. And so I was really pleased with that, just his effort. He's really turned it on this year, and he started to play like a veteran. And obviously with Chase and Chris kind of to back him up, adds two more explosive guys. And we saw Chase with the screen. Not many people knew he could run that fast. But I think he just adds that veteran on our team, on the receiver squad, that kind of helps those guys out.
Troy seems really advanced for his year in terms of the details, like the foot drag, some of the stuff he does on the sideline. Is that something that comes with hard? Like, is that?
Yeah, well, he's a very savvy guy. I'm sure coming out of high school, he was like that, and it's one of those things you can't really teach. You guys either got it or they don't. And he's a really good, smart football player. I think he's got great football instincts. That's one of the best things he has, and that allows him to be even better on the field. So when you put his talent with his instincts and his awareness, he's just able to do things like that. Like on Saturday, he knew exactly where he was on the field. He knew exactly how he was going to catch the ball, and he was anticipating the catch. And so things like that just make into great plays and great players. And so I expect a lot out of Troy because he's shown so much already, and he's proven that he can handle a lot.
I'm sure you're not going to be looking too much for Eccles throughout plays for them, but when you have a linebacker that disruptive, particularly when it's off the blind side of things, does that change in terms of just even mentally knowing you may not be able to cut back that direction if that guy's there? As confident as you are in TJ or something?
Yeah, no, not really. I think, our game plan, they don't do anything necessarily outrageous, so our game plan is going to take care of a lot, and then their football instincts are going to show up after the play is already going, and that's kind of what makes it a good competitive game. And so we know that, and obviously they know it too. They still got to tackle us and bring us to the ground.
How has married life treated you so far?
It's been really good. I've been extremely fortunate. I'm blessed beyond measure, that's for sure. She's been awesome to have around. She's just one of the best things in my life, and I couldn't thank her enough for all she's done. You know, she had to go all the way across the country too, and start a life of her own. And so I'm extremely just blessed to be here. We have great community around us. Just formed some great friendships already. So it's just a blessing to be here.
Back to Troy real quick. I asked him about that catch. He called it a routine catch. Is that something that you see him do often?
Yeah, practice? He makes catches like that. You should have seen the one he made today. He just, when the ball comes to him, he just got a knack of like catching it. Like it's what receivers do, and that's just what he does. Every once in a while, he'll have close ones to where he don't always haul in, but you're like, wow, even the adjustment and the process of getting two hands on it for him is impressive. So I, to be honest, wasn't surprised he caught it. It just kind of happened so fast. I thought he might have been out of bounds, but the fact that he caught it and was close, I wasn't surprised. But I was just really pleased that during the game. They called him in, and obviously that's a great play for him. And yeah, for Troy, that's kind of usual, and he just hasn't had a chance to like showcase that just enough so far to the rest of the country.
5 games in, outside of the penalties of last week, what's sort of, the next step for this offense? What do you guys still have to improve on?
That's a good question. It's just kind of growing with the details of our plays. I think we have some really good schemes, and when we run it like how it's supposed to be ran to perfection, obviously it's really hard to stop. Our coaches do a great job of putting us in situations, putting guys in situations where they're good at. And so our next step is just the fine-tuned details of each play and making sure that we're doing those correctly so that we can have more explosive plays, and then playing without the ball with effort. I think if we fix the details and if we have maximum effort, we could become just really high-powered and really explosive on offense.
How often do you rep punting? Because in your 2
Yeah.
attempts, you've been pretty good from a field position standpoint.
I mean, from 8th grade to my senior year, I was the punter, so in high school. And so that was, fortunately for me, I was punting all the time back in the day. And so I kind of just have that just kind of good feel for it. I guess I've been doing it for a long time. And we practice it enough to execute it on game days. But at the same time, we got to practice a lot of other things before we get to punting.
Is there a read there, or is that just do you know that's a punt all the way, or is there any read for you to do something else with
Well, there's scheme to it, and every once in a while, I mean, obviously the offense is on the field. If we knew we were going to punt, we'd probably just put the punt team on there. And so there's scheme to it, and our coaches do a great job of like putting us in situations again to where we can kind of keep them off balance.